back to our PDXCON Hoi MP stream, and it's looking like the Confederacy and the Union are about to start murdering one another. But before we get directly into the action, let's just quickly go over who's playing what nations again.
Yes, and when we say Confederacy and Union, we surprisingly do not mean our previously unannounced American Civil War game. So the European Confederacy is, in our case, led by our very own Daniel, playing as Italy. And he is joined by Quill18 in Spain, as well as the SolarGamer in Greece. Shenryyr playing as France, and then Takriva, I still can't read this, playing as the Turkish Empire.
I apologize for his unprofessionalism.
And on the other side, playing the European Union, which in this case is not the European Union you're familiar with, is Lewis Brindle playing in Romania, joined by Mabozir in his native Poland, currently in the guise of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. He is joined by Aldrahill in Finland, Game Gapster in Germany, and finally our very own and very dear Breton playing as the United Kingdom. Of course I do.
Play better and we'll stop being mean.
Oof! As you can see, things definitely heated up during the
yeah, I'm not even
break.
playing and I'm trash talking
Yes.
people. Anyway, so we're currently in game, and as I briefly mentioned before, it looks like our two giant factions are about to start murdering one another. We've been waiting the last 2 hours for this, a lot of build-up, a lot of annexing different parts that they can grab onto, but now it's finally time for this giant, weirdly shaped front to come to life. And
well, when we say it is about time, it is about 100 days away.
hey, that's not that much time.
No, that is the closest we've ever
I've
gotten.
been waiting for 2 hours for this, Gabriel. It's going to be fantastic.
It is. Yeah. So what have you been up to, over the break? and enjoyed the bathroom?
Oh yeah, I had a great. We took a brief break, literally to go and eat in bathroom, because it turns out you can't PC game all the time forever. Mm-hmm. Who knew? We have bodily functions. So for those of you who are just joining us, the spin on this game, I guess, is that there are 5 victory points, or places where you need to hold to win, and each of those will generate you points, as it were. Whoever has the most points when the game, open quotes, ends, will win. And at current, the points are Vienna, Brussels, Sofia, Gibraltar, and
the Suez.
Either side of the Suez Canal. And if we look at those points in, more detail, at the moment, Vienna is held by the Union. I'm going to constantly get this wrong.
Yes,
I am. But it's currently held by the Union. Brussels is currently held by the Confederacy.
Yes.
Sofia is also currently held by the Confederacy. Gibraltar is held by the Union. And Suez is also held by the Union. Suez is interesting because, as far as the rules dictate so far, holding one side of it is 1 point, the other side of it is another point. If you hold both, you get 3 points.
Yes.
These are the first British divisions we have seen properly deployed in this part of the world for the entire game.
And just as a side note, whenever you say like Sofia is held by someone, I go like, what is our project manager doing now?
No, I am of course talking about the capital of a prominent European country,
course.
Gabriel.
Of course. Why wouldn't you?
These are, but the important thing is that I think this means the deployment of troops finally to the Suez means that Bratton might be trying to take this game seriously, and we might be about to see a goddamn war.
He is definitely prepared to hold that to the very last Irishman.
He probably will send them first.
Yes. I mean, it's a position of glory, right?
So, I guess the world map's a bit weird. Probably should have mentioned that too. Bhutan controls the entire universe that isn't important to our game. So, I mean, So the real action is all going to happen in Europe. I mean, not in the
Yes.
United States exists anymore, right? Like,
I mean, the United States are just the North American Bhutan colonies.
yes, I mean, but it's looking like predictions. At least my predictions for the strategy here is that the French will not push on this front because it's not going to be worth it. They have the victory point. If they just keep pushing, they'll weaken Germany, but they won't hold the victory point. The important thing is Vienna. That's where the shit is going to go down, as they say.
It is definitely getting later. We're pushing the boundaries of the PG-13.
Late night paradox with
Yes.
Niall and Gabriel.
Exactly.
Paradox after dark. Sorry.
Oh.
But I'm sorry. One of the victory points that I totally forgot to mention is our dearest Stockholm,
Of
where we are
course.
currently streaming from. So
Yes. And the fact that it is held by the Union will not in any way influence our commentary.
Nope, definitely not.
Have you talked about the fact that actually killing people
I
gives you
haven't.
victory?
I haven't spoken
Then
about that.
now you have the opportunity.
If you kill people, as in capitulate them as a nation, you also gain points. There, I spoke about it.
Well, it is. If you take someone's capital, that is worth 1 point. And if you kill 1 million of their soldiers,
That's dark, yo.
or take them off the field, send them on vacation, whatever you do, as long as it shows up in the casualty screen, that is also worth 1 point.
So I think the theme we've seen throughout the last 2 hours has been one of appeasement and cleaning up and not challenging each other directly. But that doesn't mean that people haven't been making decent plays, right? You've got the Turkish/Ottoman Empire building themselves up very nicely in places
Yes.
that nobody even bothered to contest whatsoever.
Yes.
You've got the Polish-Lithuanian Empire that has gone from strength to strength now that they've got their stability up. Their nation is a giant powerhouse and is a beautiful neon pink color.
Well, the problem is, as soon as they are in a war, they're going to be hit with a 20% stability penalty. So that puts you at 11%. That's not spectacular, I would
I
say.
mean, considering for most of the last 2 hours it was 0, that's
that is indeed.
that's still pretty
it
up
is an
there.
improvement.
And then we've got the Nords, or I guess the Finns. I'm not really sure what to call them anymore. The Finns took all of Scandinavia and built their own state, and they're currently justifying on Afghanistan. Probably
As you do.
Yep.
If you're a proper empire, you have to go to Afghanistan at some point.
Yep, and lose badly.
Well, let's hope it works out better for the Finns. Another thing that I just realized is it's actually very interesting in who starts this war, because it gives the other side a 20% war support boost.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Daniel's going to stick to his guns and start the
Oh,
war.
definitely.
And whoever starts the war, really, you know, everything good and everything bad that comes out of that, it's their fault from now on, right? So
Absolutely.
if Daniel starts the war and then they win it, then it's him, right? It was all him.
But you know, with Daniel and Breton being on opposite teams, whoever loses, we win.
That's true. I'm very much looking forward to the Salt.
Oh yes, this
For
is
the
going to be a
next 2
very fun
weeks.
week.
I don't need to do any work. I just need to listen to them scream
Yes.
at each other.
The funny thing is, they actually sit next to each other in the studio. Oh well, in the office.
So Italy finally starting to seriously churn out some units to man this giant front they're gonna have to hold.
Yep.
I mean, I was really hoping for a nice war of movement, similar to what we saw, for example, with the Turks when they were using a very small cavalry division very effectively to, as soon as there was a tiny gap, grab it and just run for the next land border to get yourself a nice encirclement.
Yep.
But it's looking like this war in Europe, it's gonna be a very, very unpleasant infantry grind.
Yes.
Which
At
is-
least until you have a breakthrough.
Sure, but it's strange because it's 1940 and these players clearly have not prioritized tanks. It's
Nope.
not in their meta. The few nations that have tanks are the French, I believe, because they started with some.
Yes.
Although I could be very wrong. Yeah, I mean some, like 6 divisions, and the Germans who have tanks.
they do have tanks.
Yep,
Yes.
this template, I don't know what's going on. I'll ask afterwards, I guess.
I assume there is a strategy behind it.
I would hope so too.
We should also notice that the Finns have sort of reorganized their army into a large amount of, shall we say, brigade-sized units.
Oh no.
Definitely on the width 10 side of the debates.
I mean,
I can see it.
I can see it working. I'm not sure I want all that annoying management, but
Yep.
And the majority of their army, or at least the majority of one of their armies, is also garrisoning, which is going to be very important for one side because navally the Union has the advantage.
Definitely.
It's going to have to be either defensive for the Confederacy or just a last stand and just sally forth and die horribly and then call it a day. Because otherwise they're going to get navally invaded everywhere. They're going to have to garrison everything because they can't control the sea.
Yes, but on the other hand, if they put enough pressure on, say, the Suez and Gibraltar, the sheer fact that Britain has to defend those areas means he does not necessarily have troops to navally invade somewhere.
That's very true, but there is still an entire north coast along Spain and France that they're going to have to defend heavily. I mean, I don't want to pick Bratton up too much, but the last MP, his naval invasion tactics were on point.
They were on point.
He very much knows what he's doing when it comes to not necessarily overwhelming, but I would strategically spamming, shall we call it, naval invasions to the point where it really, really worked for him last time. He cut the UK in two in a matter of weeks, and it was something to behold. That was for sure. And if we can see something as fancy as that this time, that would be pretty nice.
It would be a reverse, right? He would have to push south this time.
But I mean, the French, they've got a lot to be defending, and not so many units in the fields to be defending it with. It's they do have help from their dear Spanish friends though, so that's definitely going to help out a fair amount. It looks like they have agreed that the Spanish are going to hold most of every port in Europe by the look.
And
and
very interesting, Gibraltar is not garrisoned at all. Has Britain just given up on it?
That's a good question.
I mean, I would never second guess my fellow content designer, of course, but that is still a victory point. That's, just sort of sitting there.
At the end of the day, it's about priorities, right? Yeah. Maybe it's not a priority.
It also controls the eastern entrance to the Mediterranean, so the western one. I'm sorry.
You mean the left?
Yes.
The left entrance to the Mediterranean, Gabriel. That's what you mean.
Exactly.
I'm not sure, to be honest. It might be a calculated gamble. And it is, I believe, only 1 point in the victory points. So
yeah, I mean, if there's one strategic position in the
France
in that area, then I would.
France just researched their first heavy tank in 1940. B1s. Ooh, and they're going for the second one straight away.
Oof.
We're going to see some French heavy tanks, ladies and gentlemen, at least hopefully.
Oh.
What's Greece up to still? Still just building up nicely? Doing a decent... Ooh, wow. Now that is an infantry template and a half right there.
And justifying the war roads is done, so the war could start at any minute.
Ooh. Oh, whoops. Just going to jump into Germany and just wait.
And we... well, when I say at any minute, at some point it's gonna no longer kick off at any minute because the war goal will have timed out.
That is something that we've dealt with a lot before. War goals timing out at inconvenient times. Get the stream nice and hyped for a good bit of a bloodbath, and then
everyone goes like, "Oh,
whoops!"
Yes, Twitch chat is screaming for blood.
Good.
They should be.
I would be screaming for blood, but the microphone is a bit close to my face for me to be doing that. It's
the calm before the storm.
I just heard Daniel say the words, "It's going to war," but I'm not sure what he's talking about. He might just be referencing a certain
Oh boy,
Sabaton
here we
song.
go, here we go.
Oof, oof, ooh. Oh.
And the first offensive in Hungary is... well...
Yep, no action on the France-German front as somewhat expected, and I'm not.
The first major offensive seems to hit Romania.
I mean, it makes sense.
I mean, it's one of those cases where if you can knock someone out of the war,
And Romania is the one to knock out.
yeah,
It gives you a nice solid border. You don't have to worry about it so much anymore.
exactly, and it, you know, outflanks the
Okay, the Jiangxi clique just accepted invitation to the
joined
faction.
the European Union. This is probably surprise in Brussels. Not necessarily unwelcome. And it turns out the French actually did take the offensive in the Netherlands,
which is brave because
Yes.
there's a big old river there. And
on the other hand,
Gibraltar has just fallen. Gibraltar is officially part of the Confederacy.
He got that right, yeah?
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I can definitely see France just going, we're just going to conquer up to the river line and then use the river to defend.
No, I mean, I would say that's exactly what the Germans are going to do. That
Well,
river is too much of a defensive bastion to... Or the French, like, there is a concerted Spanish effort in the north of France.
Yes, I'm watching that.
Yes, to take the Netherlands, which is maybe
mean,
a
that
point of
is
pride for
for Spain.
Drickus. He refuses to let it fall into their hands.
Oh, that's the...
But it does look like the Germans have just pulled back and consolidated to a decent defensive line behind the river, which is a solid move.
Yeah.
I mean, they do give up their the advantage they had when they were within striking distance of Brussels, but maybe they don't want to play for Brussels. It's all...
That said, those are some... Well, not perhaps the most... industry-heavy states Germany has. But it's definitely...
I think we've just evolved a new multiplayer meta here in the studio. Apparently, if you just keep calling people to wars, you can cause too many pop-ups and people can't see what they're doing.
That is...
So there's a meta strat for everybody to try at home.
and that is why you release all your puppets, so they can join the war independently.
That's another plus on the release all your puppets at the beginning of the game.
That is some 5D chess right there.
But no progress being made whatsoever, really, by any side. I mean, the Spanish captured the victory point, and the French are going to recapture the Netherlands, and the casualties aren't horrific for some reason. I mean, they're horrific on one side, but not on the other. We've got the European Confederacy starting to gain casualties, but I guess it's the European Union who's on the offensive, so it makes sense they're the ones that are hit the hardest.
Well, the Confederacy started the war. I'm just putting that out there.
Oh, beg your pardon. I think that's actually because of the
Mr. has capitulated.
It's because of the losses from the Jiangxi clique.
Huh.
So most of those losses aren't actually in the European theatre necessarily.
Are they?
But
That is true.
yeah, the Hungarian front is very solid considering the amount of time and men that's been shoved at it so far.
Yep.
I'm actually relatively impressed.
No, the Hungarian-Romanian front has been fairly static despite some very heavy efforts by both sides to break that.
Yeah, I mean, I was genuinely expecting somewhere to buckle, right? Somewhere had to buckle.
Yes.
There's no way that the teams can put enough manpower and resources into places to hold everywhere.
Yeah.
But it seems like the build-up phase, that many years, was worth it for both sides. They have the manpower,
That said, there's
guns.
definitely some very fast movement in the Netherlands, because
And
that collapse means that
there's an entire British army in to defend, but they're on the wrong side of Belgium this time. I think something's broken in the timeline because the Belgians.
Oh yes, I see them. They are trying to stem the tide because
Yeah, I mean,
there's no longer a continuous front, and the Spanish are moving on Wilhelmshaven. That's
I mean
there's a little.
I guess the real question here is, where are they going to pull more manpower from to plug this hole if they need to?
Yes, without exposing other areas.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the recruitment queues on most of the nations aren't exactly brimming with infantry.
Mm-hmm.
But
the Germans are they have quite a few divisions.
But they're one of the only ones.
Yes.
Everyone else has now shifted their focus to armor, which maybe is too little, too late. Maybe they need to start manning the line rather than. Oof. Are they going to be able to get out of there? How's the naval supremacy looking on that pocket? Okay, they should be fine. When they can just jump out whenever they need to.
It's a little Dunkirk.
Yeah, a very little one because there's only 2 divisions there, but.
But I mean, of course, everyone has seen the movie Dunkirk, where the British Navy evacuates the German expeditionary forces in the Netherlands.
Yeah, I think it didn't review very well, though.
No, it was...
Air superiority is pretty dominant in most sectors. It doesn't look like anyone's contesting each other's... Ooh, I tell a lie. The Alpine region, there's actually people contesting each other. But most of the air superiority and the tactical bombing going on is a very one-sided affair. It seems to be wherever there are fighters, nobody wants to commit, except for in the Alpine region where they're trying, bless them. They're really trying.
Yes. Meanwhile,
well, I mean, I say they're trying. It's South Africa, Canada, and Australia trying.
none of which are players.
Yeah, exactly.
Meanwhile, there has actually been some small territory gains for the Union in Hungary, but they don't make up for the losses in the northern French theater slash Low Countries.
And Bratton here in North Africa doing a fantastic job of setting up a proper defense of the victory points that he really needs to hold. Like, he's got a nice choke point at the classic of El Alamein.
Yes.
Good coastal defenses from any kind of naval invasion, and then he's holding off the Ottomans here, or the Turks / Ottomans. Did they change their tag yet? They have not.
No, they can. I don't think they can. They need Syria, to which they are allied.
Yes, which is a yep. So
it's a bit of a shame, but
it's looking like, unless there's a lot of tanks on their way, that this is going to be a nice grindy infantry war where defenders have the advantage.
Definite advantage, yes. Yes.
Yes. We're remaking World War I. Remember that time where the Germans and the British teamed up to beat up the French?
There was, I mean, France and Italy versus Germany and the British Empire is basically how Bismarck wanted to fight that war.
Oof, that's a big cavalry division.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm confused. And Romania, just holding their own rather spectacularly, really.
There was actually a cavalry breakthrough into the Raj that has been cut off.
Oh.
Yeah, it was
again. It was a really good move in the early game. Excuse me. The Turkish player did a fantastic job with the cavalry breakthroughs in the beginning, and I mean, maybe losing a couple of cavalry divisions is the price you pay for a risky tactic, right?
On the other hand, the Raj is clearly having that as a secondary front while they are cleaning up Siamese Empire and Laos.
Are those Finnish troops in? Yeah, sorry, the Nordic troops.
Yes.
Are there?
Yes, those are...
It seems very strange to be prioritizing holding the Raj when the European theater is not going well for the northern faction.
For the Union, no.
I mean, maybe those Finnish lives could be expensed better somewhere else.
Expense better.
But this damn... They should never have invited the Zhuangzi clique into the faction because it makes them look terrible. I mean, technically, they've lost 1.1 million to 270,000, which isn't that impressive. But when you factor in that they're fighting a decent defensive war, and 700,000 of the casualties have come from the one Chinese country left, then
Yes.
they're actually doing very well for themselves. It's the territory loss that's really going to get them in the end.
Yep.
And I mean, maybe it's because I'm a bit of a Francophile. I'm just happy to see France doing so goddamn well in a Paradox multiplayer game. Who'd have thought it, huh?
Huh.
But yeah, it seems like everybody's... Or, sorry, I say everybody. Seems like most people have gone for relatively lighter infantry divisions just so they can have more of them. Everyone's sticking to the relatively standard 7 to 20 width, which, I mean, I don't blame you. It's if you're going to fight a war where you need to be able to move stuff around rather than focusing all your forces, then it makes sense. If you have 20 provinces to hold, it doesn't matter how good your one division is, right?
Yeah. This, I think the only real point of hope for the Union currently is Hungary, which is going not spectacularly well, not France pushing into the Netherlands but it's going forward.
The thing that's... I was about to say the thing that's confusing to me is that Romania isn't striking south and Italy isn't striking north, right, in their joint front, but they just started, so never mind.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I agree with what you said earlier, where an early knockout of Romania would really be the ticket that they need.
Yes.
And it looks like the Turkish player might be committed to like 4 different fronts at once, which might explain
at some point you have to wonder where, you know, the mental bandwidth for microing all these divisions, keeping track of it.
Right? Like 3 fronts at the same time, you can probably handle it because it's speed 2 multiplayer. But something goes wrong and you miss it. There's no amount of micro that can save you if you just weren't looking there at the right time. Speaking of, damn, these supply lines for the southern faction are getting rough in Hungary. They're going to start losing more men to attrition than they do to bullets soon.
Yeah, there's been a small encirclement of Confederate troops in Hungary.
We talked a lot about Romania, a knockout of Romania being good, but maybe it's time for Romania to start kicking some ass instead.
It might in fact be the early knockout of Hungary that's going to change the balance of power.
Them losing Hungary isn't the end of the world, right? It's not a player and it's not a victory point.
Nope.
And maybe it will give them the advantage because holding that salient that is Hungary right now is just, it's waiting to be a disaster.
Yeah, but I mean it frees up a lot of Union troops to actually be redeployed and say make a pushback against France.
I completely agree. That would be my move as well. But like right now, there's a beautiful river to your south where you could just abandon Hungary forever and hold there, because if Hungary becomes a giant pocket, it's gonna be
that. It might easily swing the war.
Yeah, it could be the deciding battle.
Yes.
Right. How are we doing on the France-German front? Looks like things have quietened down a lot.
I think the French player in particular and the Spanish player played that very well. They saw an opportunity to push and they were aggressive in the right moment.
Exactly. It was, wow, it does actually look like at some point the German Navy got eviscerated. Oh, beg your pardon. No, they didn't. I just looked at the wrong country.
Keeps happening to me. I'm like, oh man. Germany has so few tank. Oh, I'm looking at Italy.
Yeah. You're like, what are they doing? What are they? Oh, right, they're not doing it. Never mind.
Meanwhile, the war in the Suez remains a stalemate. No one's really aggressively pushing.
There was a couple of large, I guess, spurs out from the British lines, but they quickly retreated when they realized that no one was contesting them, and that might be a trap.
Yep.
But, I mean, we are, yet again, grinding ourselves in the mountains over here, and yet again I question why, other than I started this war, so I'm going to finish it.
Well, it's one of those things where you go, we need to do something, this is something, we must do it.
Yeah, but it is one of the worst places to fight in the world.
Oh, definitely.
Like, it's only a few provinces, it's only a few provinces wide. and it's mountains all the way. It is not a pretty place to start a war. And what are the what are the Italians up to? How are they doing in the general sense of things? They're not looking terrible. A serious deficiency of anti-tank guns, but I mean, I don't think I've seen a tank so far. So,
well, the Germans have quite a few, you know, of those tank divisions deployed.
those ones.
Yes,
The ones we don't talk about.
Yes, the ones where we go. What precisely are you thinking?
But I mean, generally the Italian situation is looking decent to fight a defensive war. The problem is they need to be closer to Vienna than they currently are.
The front is not moving towards Vienna. It's definitely.
That's a naval battle and a half down there, just north of Libya.
Oh yes, that is.
Looks like this might be the decider for who gets naval supremacy in the Mediterranean.
That is the death ride of the of the Italian Navy.
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily disagree with you, but maybe let's try and be somewhat supportive of our.
Yeah, I mean.
No, that
I just noticed that they are outnumbered 7-1 in battleships.
And also lack air superiority.
Yeah, I mean, but if you're outnumbered 7-1 in battleships, the air superiority is really just you know, the tip of the iceberg that sinks your ships.
But more action up in the north of Europe again, but this time it looks like an offensive by the Germans into French soldiers, which is a nice change of events, I guess. Looks like a good concentration of forces. Mainly German, though. So Germany fighting the brunt of the war again. Whereas, what are you up to, Finland / the Nordic Empire?
And it's actually impressive. The the German armored divisions are immune to piercing from the Confederate side.
Bataan has done it. Bataan has sent volunteers to half the goddamn world. We all knew it was coming. Maybe we should have foreseen this and not annexed the world to Bhutan.
On the other hand, maybe we should have annexed more to Bhutan. I mean, fewer places to send volunteers, right?
That's true. That's very, very true. But but I mean, it doesn't look like the Finnish military are all over the place. Like, they've got a lot on one front, a lot on the other.
Yeah, it seems like the Finns are just providing, like,
it's
backstop.
Where do you need help? I will send you a whole army.
Yes.
Which, I mean, fair dues to him. That's being a team player, but...
Yeah. But on the other hand, like these size 10 divisions, they rely a lot on micro, on keeping an eye on everything. And if you're holding gigantic front lines in every theater, you can't micro efficiently. I'm just saying, maybe he can, I can't.
I mean, I can't either.
Yeah.
But I guess the important thing is it's mainly either fullback lines or front lines, so not a whole lot of micro needed, hopefully. It's more of a, I can put bodies in this gap.
Yep.
But trying to get through that Maginot line is a bad idea. And the Italian mountains are a terrible idea, so it's all gonna have to come down to the Balkans.
Yep.
And who'd have thought it, huh? A war in the Balkans. But that pocket, the pocket that I thought was gonna collapse any day, is still, I say the pocket. It's not a pocket yet, but it's looking like it's gonna be one soon. German armors finally showed up to crush some people. There's massive gaps there's soon to be massive gaps in the Italian defense in Hungary. Like, this is looking not great. Quite concerning, if anything. And again, Romania just, I mean, I don't want to say that I didn't believe in Romania, but good God, from not a great starting position to even worse, and then to be here now, like, fighting this well and putting up a decent defense, no major issues, like, good for them. Like, good turnaround, really pulling their weight.
Interestingly enough, it appears that the bombers in the Alpine, like the German bombers in the Alpine region, are actually not supporting the ground forces. They're doing strategic strikes.
In the Alpine region?
Yes, focusing on infrastructure. And I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean...
Sitting in the mountains already not great for your health. And if all the bridges are bombed, it's only going to get worse.
Yeah, and the Greeks here, or the Western Eastern Roman Empire, or the Byzantiums, or the Byzantium 2s, A's, B's, I don't know. But the Greeks doing a decent job here of just supporting the river front line of their allies. But
and as Twitch chat has pointed out, when you say no major issues in Romania, you did not look at their manpower.
That's not a major issue.
Nah.
You guys are looking too much into manpower.
Yeah.
Why, is it really bad?
It's 2018, right? Who cares about manpower?
Yeah. You're you guys, and you're worrying about guns and combat width and manpower. Who needs them? That's what there's console commands for.
Yes.
But I mean, they're not doing horribly, or unless they recently changed their... I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong, Twitch chat, but that looks fine to me. That's like a whole 50k more than he needs. Like,
See.
but this.
Oh, and they just changed mobilization law, so they're
gonna start genning up soon.
Yep.
I think it was a political power issue rather than a not aware that I need manpower issue. But the casualties aren't, to be honest, looking all that terrible for anybody, really.
Romania has clearly had the brunt of the fighting. Like they are.
But like as far as I'm concerned, Romania was doomed a month ago, and now they're.
Yeah, they're decidedly undoomed.
Yeah, I mean maybe that was because of a strong German intervention in the Hungarian border-ish region, but still, it's good team coordination from a team who don't appear to be saying all that much to each other.
They are, you know, they are in sync.
I've been informed that they can communicate by just eyebrows and telepathy.
I mean, that's you send me bug reports that way. You just, you know, you peer over our noise cancelling screen and you're like.
But I mean, it looks like the Spanish army is decidedly the garrison of Europe for some reason. I mean, you know, there's specializing, and then there's literally just guarding the coast. But they do have a few fronts active. Again, this it's not. I mean, maybe it's a convenience thing, right? I need help. Who can send me help? Please send it here. But to me, it seems like each player should be in control of their own front rather than have. I mean, I'm looking at armies where 3 different people have 3 different fronts, and it's like, why don't you just?
I mean, you could probably organize that a lot better with using expeditionary forces.
Sure, yeah, you could totally use the expeditionary forces, or you could talk to one another.
No.
I guess they don't want to talk because then we'll say it louder so the other team can hear.
Exactly.
Who wants to get? Oh, Baton. Yeah. But I can't. Oh, it looks like the Italians might be about to just not keep doing. I'm worried about saying it out loud in case the other team notices, and then I feel bad for sabotaging Daniel.
Why would? That said, there's a Union counterattack into the Netherlands.
Ooh.
Led by the British, who I believe have no, emotional attachment to that area.
But I mean, it's apparently an incredibly effective one too. Is there a problem with the French divisions, or is it just a case of overwhelming? Oof, damn! Look at all those bonuses on Guderian there. It looks like who's commanding that army? Come here.
Oh, yeah. Britain has.
Oh God.
Those are the British tanks, and they have some. That's a very beefy.
I would just like to remind all players in the room that you have command power and you can use it to unlock traits on leaders.
just pointing that out.
And it's really good. But it does seem like
not a lot of use of command abilities.
No, the thing that I find with the command abilities is in multiplayer anyway, is they are a gamble that does not regularly pay off.
That is true.
Because it's a lot of equipment when you're more worried about holding several fronts than you are about having an equipment pile to burn.
Yep.
And I mean, maybe if you have low manpower, then it becomes a more viable strategy. But right now, these guys are trying to pour as much equipment and manpower and divisions into the field as they can as fast as possible to fight this giant front war that they've created.
Yep.
But I really think that the start of the German breakthrough in the north of Europe is definitely the fact that their leader has a lot of decent traits, and the opposition not so much. Like Guderian is a bit good. I don't know if anyone's ever noticed that.
Guderian is good. Hoi 4 developer.
Hoi 4 developer. Guderian is good. But ooh, damn! Why are you attacking into that fort there, Finland? You feeling okay?
I think for France it might just be an issue of supplies.
Really? Is it looking rough for France on the supply front?
Well, they're about 2K in the hole for artillery. Infantry equipment not looking spectacular. Support equipment not looking spectacular either.
I mean, to be fair, they have a lot of leftover equipment of tier 2 variety, so they must actually be doing relatively okay for that to be the case, right? Like, oh wow, yeah. I mean, they have piles of various captured equipment.
Yeah, but it's always just one here, one there.
Yep. But
meanwhile, on the other side of the front, boy.
Is that an attack into mountains?
Germany is out of infantry equipment.
Germany is out of infantry equipment? I don't believe you. Oh my...
I mean,
there's a lot of it is for recruitment.
Yes, I was just thinking that.
I momentarily panicked there. The in-field situation is bad, but it's not terrible.
What's interesting is that he has actually not prioritized, say, reinforcements over recruitment for equipment.
I mean, a lot of people set that up in peacetime that way, and then just, war happens and 19 other things are happening and screaming at you, and maybe you just forget.
No, I agree entirely.
I mean, we've all been there.
We've all had those wars happen.
Yeah. I don't know, it's, there's that, and then there's me occasionally forgetting that, oh yeah, by the way, you need to have manpower to do stuff. It's like, I'm just going to change my divisions from 20 whips to 40 whips, and then, oh wait, where did all of the manpower in the world go?
What do you mean? I need soldiers. Guns don't fire themselves.
But, I mean, considering what a disaster the large, I guess, Hungarian pocket could have been, it's actually not looking all that terrible now. It does look like...
Don't look too closely, but Germany can invite Bhutan into their faction.
Yeah, I saw. Which nobody here should do.
Exactly. We're making an administrative call. Anyone who invites Bhutan into their faction loses instantly.
But I mean, considering what not a disaster, but what a rough time Italy would have had if more divisions had gotten encircled in that large salient, I believe is the expression. It could have gone a lot worse, but it does look like a pretty orderly withdrawal. And
yeah, I mean, some people were left behind, but
yeah,
that's how it goes.
Not enough to have a really big impact on a game of this scale, right? Like,
yeah, well, the problem is that right now they again have a broken front line. There are empty provinces, and that's when it gets really ugly. Really
fast. I mean, I think the only reason that they haven't been encircled there right now is because the Romanian player hasn't noticed. Oh.
Which is why paying close attention to it on Steam.
And again, just...
We should have like a little list how many times we helped out each team.
Yeah, make sure the tally's even at all times. But the British, I kept emphasizing this before, and they do... I don't know if they listened or if, I'm not saying I'm the strategic genius here, but maybe it was because of me that they're doing this. But the defense of Egypt has gone fantastic. The Ottomans as well, like, they're back to fighting a defensive war. That they can't break through on the Sinai Peninsula, and they can't break through into the mountains of India now that the other Indian front is basically just cleanup duty.
Yep.
It's gonna be a wait and see, I guess, for India. Sorry, not for India, for Turkey. See what they can do to help on other fronts, and just make sure they hold those two. which is a real shame, because I saw so much potential in this push towards the Suez from the Turks. They seem to be the only people realizing how important that area was, and they just got shut down super fast by the fact that they're fighting an offensive and not defensive war.
I think they might just have expected some support from their faction members, and they have other priorities.
Yes, that's very true. I mean, you know, they probably had a big plan, and then this war happened, and now it's all a bit of a mess.
That's how it always goes.
Yeah. But again, this push from the Germans in what used to be the Netherlands is still going relatively strong.
It is quite impressive. Like, they were caught on the wrong foot early on, I would say. Had to retreat, but you know, Hungary is going pretty well for them.
Yep.
They've restored most of
like
the
they
Netherlands.
called for help, right? Like, there are so many different nations' soldiers here from their faction.
Yep.
They went, guys, not going good, please help, and everybody did. And it's, I don't know. I'm not seeing any big plans for any big breakthroughs. You know, I don't think we're going to be home by Christmas, Gabriel.
You don't think so?
No.
I definitely hope I will be home by Christmas.
No, you're stuck here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're Italy or if you're France right now, what do you do?
Yeah, you at least for France, it is, they have some issues with factories. They only have 50 military factories. The rest is in civilians, and they're trying to build new military factories, of course, but those are going to take a while to get up and online.
The problem for France as well is they don't really have anybody to lean on, right? The Italians are also, relatively speaking, industrially weak.
Yes.
And they need to sort themselves out. The only real person they could rely on, possibly, is the Spanish. And the Spanish have a deficit of exactly the same equipment that France needs.
Yes.
So it's looking more and more like we might hit a stalemate, and then it's just a case of whoever makes a breakthrough first. The other thing that I am, except for the rather excellent defense of the Suez
You're
Canal,
never letting that go.
Nope. No one else is going for the victory points, right?
Oh, no, not the Angolan Empire. a linchpin. A linchpin in Confederacy plans. I actually had to check how much time they won.
But it's all quiet. I'm just gonna quickly check around what's going on with the naval game for all the nations, right? Like, unless I'm unless I'm seriously missing something, like, there's not been that much naval action going on, right? No cheeky invasions behind lines, no grabs. I mean, the closest thing we saw to a naval campaign was the British cleaning up the Dutch East Indies, like,
actually,
2 hours ago.
Speaking of cheeky landings, there was a cheeky landing.
Damn, where was?
In Romania.
Damn, that is cheeky.
Yeah, I watched that go in and went like, better not talk about it. You know.
Ah, yes, of course, because we will give it away to the other team.
Exactly.
But
the
purpose-built marine divisions as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
The Spanish have secured a beachhead.
Yeah, and they're defending it well. And the Romanians now have to at least split some divisions up there to hold them. And the Romanians, yet again, tapped out on manpower.
Yep. And, well.
And actually lacking it rather violently in the field as well. So this is shaping up all of a sudden. Oh, wow. I mean, maybe reinforcements are on the way in the form of some deer poles here to help out. So maybe the Romanians aren't so hot after all.
Yeah. But then again, I guess the Polish Mavosier has a really, I wouldn't say easier time, but he doesn't have to worry about losing, you know, his core territory.
No, he has friendlies on every single side and a non-existent foe on the other. So, I mean, it's really he is basically a support player, right?
Yes.
His job is to give people the stuff they need if he has it, and send the divisions where he's told to send them. But the also more suitable divisions for some crushing are also on their way. So it's looking like the team effort for these for the Union, yeah, is really starting to shape up. The question is, though, what's the next play for anybody? Nobody's knocked anybody out. Nobody's captured anybody else's victory points.
Nope, not yet anyway.
Not yet anyway, that's very true. And it's cost each side hundreds of thousands of... Oh my god.
Well, the Confederacy is actually looking fairly well in the kill-to-death ratio.
Yeah, their KD is up there.
Yeah.
But I don't think KD wins games.
You learned that in professional Rainbow Six?
I did learn that in professional Rainbow Six. But, I mean, you take out the brain? Oh, where was I going with that? Oh my god. It's a bloodbath for the French, but it's a bigger bloodbath for the Germans, and it's... I don't see how they can be expending so much manpower and
I think at some point
to show to it for
I think at some point we're gonna hit a point where both sides are just too exhausted to keep pushing.
Yeah, like
and have to
you can't bleed each other dry playing Hoi like this on a front like this.
No.
As soon as anybody has the advantage in terms of we are tapped out of manpower or equipment, someone's going to exploit it.
Yep.
And as soon as a front this size starts to crumble, it's gone.
Yeah, can go very quickly.
But the Canadians are also here to help out, so that's pretty great.
Good on the Canadians, I guess.
And I mean, it's got to the point where there are so few offensive plans being drawn, and the ones I do see being drawn are a bit fantasyful, I guess.
I mean, you have to do stuff to keep morale up, right? You go like, guys, we've been pushed back a bit, but we're gonna catch them.
Yep. I've got this
flip
great
side.
plan.
Exactly.
We're all gonna stand up at the same time and slowly walk across no man's land.
Yes. They'll never see it coming, even though they did 25 times already.
But oh, I say that, and the Italians have an even more fantasyful plan. So, I mean, it's probably for planning bonus, right? And that's just a convenient line to draw, maybe.
Yes. I guess it's also quite useful for coordinating with your allies, going like we should push in this direction.
This is one of the first MPs that we've done that are streamed where I've constantly seen the little cross swords and the little blue shield, because they don't necessarily want to talk to the person on the other side of the table to them, because then the other team might hear.
Yes.
So it's been quite amusing to imagine how they're communicating other than using their words.
Yep. But it seems to be a small-scale offensive from the Turkish into... we missed a major naval attempt by the Spanish.
Basically, I was talking about how nobody's been doing any naval invasions, when really the Spanish player has been working his ass off to do a lot of naval invasions.
But then again, perhaps the Spanish player was there were no naval invasions anywhere. Nope.
And it does look like it's a relatively well-coordinated effort as well, because the British Navy is wherever the Spanish need them to be.
I mean, that's proper team play.
Yeah, it is, and I'm impressed with the lack of communication we can hear.
Yes, while pulling off some very well-coordinated moves.
Exactly. Like it does look like if the Spanish can somehow, and I'm a bit optimistic, but if they can knock out the Raj relatively easily.
Well, I think that is a bit optimistic by this point.
But I mean, the Raj can't both hold the smaller front against France, have all of its ports garrisoned, and hold this line against the Turks, right?
Yep.
They need to strip somewhere, and then they need to micro all these little pockets that the Spanish are forming.
But then again, the Raj isn't a player, so it's the AI microing. And they probably... I mean, if there's one thing the AI can do, it's, split its attention.
Yes, very much so. But I feel like there is a point where they just don't have the divisions. They will fall apart.
That is very possible.
And if the Spanish player can knock them out, then we've got ourselves a show, because that means that everything that the Turks have can be sent to Europe, basically.
Yep.
And that is a sizable force at this point, as far as I well, the last time I checked, anyway. Huge.
I think it might just be an attempt to lure some troops away from the Turkish front, so the Turks can push.
Yep, could be.
Preferably before the French Indochina front falls, so those troops are released.
But I mean, the only real problem that the Turks are facing is I'm not sure if they updated their template or just deployed a lot more than they can handle, but they have a serious deficit of infantry equipment, which is the only thing they're really fielding.
Yep.